never had a signature scent. I've never been able to commit to just one fragrance. Do I look insane to you? And there are all these beautiful ones out here. Instead, I've built a perfume collection that I think there's an underlying logic and through line through the entire collection that speaks to my perfume personality. So that is what today's video is all about. Exploring my perfume personality through 13 questions from my Boss Babe fragrances to my bedtime scents to share with you some of my faves in my collection and how lovely and fire and representative they are. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in seeing more of, stick around and let's get into it.
I hope I'm not wasting my time, jumping all the way in too deep. I hope you're not missing.
Hi, I'm Jeanique, and we're going to deep dive into my collection and find the fragrances that best represent my perfume personality based on the 13 questions Simply Aisha drafted and did a video on. I will link her video, it is fire. But thanks to Roxanne's Retreat, I get to participate. She tagged me, and you need to check out her video. It is so good, it is so lovely, so many perfume gems are shared in that video. Her whole collection is fire, so check her out. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you're coming back and you've been here before, thank you so much. I love that you're here, and let's get into it.
Put your back to the side, never slide for ya. I can tell what's on your mind, come get what's there for.
So the first question was, what is your Boss Babe fragrance? And I had a little bit of trouble with this one because I pulled out so many different types of fragrances that I feel real bossy in, but I ultimately landed on Armav's Club de Nuit for Women, which is a dupe of Chanel Coco Mademoiselle. Now this is a patchouli heavy fragrance, a lot of citrus, jasmine, white florals, and a big patchouli base that does not shy away from what it is. It is very in your face, very crisp, very powerful in what it gives, and I think it does read Boss Babe in the best ways possible. And I feel like even more of a boss because of the fact that it's so affordable and it doesn't cost Chanel prices. I feel like I'm doing something right whenever I wear this one. Some other fragrances that almost made the cut, things like Creed Aventus for Her, I legit wore Burberry Weekend to just play with the idea that that would make the cut instead. Cartier's Panthère is a big Boss Babe fragrance for me in that 1980s modern woman with shoulder pads kind of way, but ultimately I landed on this guy here because I wear it so often these days and I really do feel like a boss when I do. Question number 2 is all about bedtime scents, and for this one I can just pick one. I couldn't just pick one because we have 2 heavily dented bottles in this one. You can see there, this is halfway done, so is this, because I wear them to bed so much. So Kenzie So Pretty is very sweet candy smelling fruit. That is one of my main go-tos for bed. Candy smelling fruit, nothing too musky, nothing too heavy, just light, pretty, and sweet, just to go to bed and feel cozy. The next one is Solid Notes Vanille. It's just a very sweet, flat vanilla. Nothing too complicated, nothing too distracting. I love that for me. I love a sweet fragrance for bed. Now, if I'm feeling a little bit spicy, I'm feeling a little bit extra, I might layer Vanille with Comptoir Sud Pacifique Vanille Banana, because sweet vanilla with a lot of sweet banana, I just smell like a breakfast drink. Yeah. So question number 3 was, what perfume in my collection feels like a hug in a bottle? And that for me is real easy. There's one criteria to feel like a hug in a bottle, being texturally creamy and heavy. And one of my favorites that fits that bill for me is Dior Addict. Now this is very light white floral and very thick creamy vanilla and tonka. It's a little bit spicy. Oh, the spice in here is spicying with some nice beautiful like orange blossom, some other white florals. There's a little bit of creamy sandalwood in the base. It's heavy, it's creamy, it's sweet without being overly so. I love this fragrance if I'm having a rough day but I still gotta get up and go to work and I need a hug in a bottle to get through the commute Nuit. This is what I go for, and I love this fragrance. It is so elevated, it's so classy, and I cannot recommend it enough if you love that sort of heavy, creamy, white floral meets vanilla scent profile. The next question is a sexy question. What fragrance in my collection is a weapon of mass seduction? Boom. It's this. It's this. Not only do I feel seductive when I wear this, but I feel like I am fucking seductive when I wear this. And it is La Nuit Tresor intense version, because we had to do the intense version. Now, I've done a whole video on Manita fragrances. Manita, that Manita fragrances. I have a whole video. I will link it. There are a whole lot of boozy, sultry fragrances in that video. I didn't want to repeat what I talked about in that one and come out with a different seductive fragrance in my collection, and it is this guy. So it's not my most complimented fragrance. My most complimented by the men's is Coral Fantasy from the Donna Born and Roma line from Valentino. It is well documented. I keep talking about it because I'm shocked every time. But when I want to feel like my most bad bitch, right, this is the fragrance I wear. Now, how is this different? No, it's a cherry fragrance. It's sour cherry with nutty almond. It's very nutty and wonderful and rich. It's real thick, it's real heavy, it's real sweet, with a little bit of tartness in the back. This fragrance is fire. It's real heavy. It's really nighttime. Look at it. It looks sexy, right? Because it is. It's so sexy. So which two fragrances in my collection rarely ever get worn, but I probably will never get rid of? So I'm going to sort of cheat with this one and talk about two, and it's sort of cheating as well because I don't have very big bottles of these fragrances anymore, but I do keep around mini ones to sniff every now and then. So these are fragrances I keep for nostalgic reasons. They take me back to my high school days and my college days because they were just the fragrances I wore heavy. And well, I'll show you both of them. It's CK's Euphoria and CK1. Now, I rarely ever wear these. I rarely ever like spray them, but I every now and then go up and just sort of, you know, smell them. Oh my god. That takes me back. I just remember this very big iconic bottle sitting on my dresser, spraying it down and feeling really lovely, wearing this clubbing at 16 and feeling like the bad bitch I thought I was. And CK1 is this very citrusy fragrance, just really bright, fresh. Everybody I feel like has probably smelled CK1, if not on themselves, on somebody else. One of the very first unisex fragrances, and it holds up to time. Like, I would still wear this. I never do, but I would. Like, I would not be embarrassed to put this on and wear it out of the house and feel good about it. So these are the two that I don't really wear anymore, but I probably will never get rid of because they're lovely and they just take me back to really happy times. So what is a perfume fave I have, I love, I just never wear? Easy. I cuss myself out about it constantly. It is Alien. Unlike, say, CK's Euphoria, that like I never, like, it feels a little bit too juvenile for me because I associate it with being like a teenager clubbing. Alien still feels grown and appropriate. It's very fresh and just a really beautiful white floral fragrance with some powdery aspects to it. I think it still holds up. I think this is a grown fragrance for grown people events, and whenever I have those grown people events, I never think to wear Alien. It always sort of slips my mind, and I really do need to like put it to better use. I've had a few fragrance trade videos where I've talked about like specifically adding it to the tray to remind myself to wear it for the month, and I have done so in those instances, but as you can see, just like not a lot is used because as much as I love this fragrance, I almost never wear it anymore, but I will. I'm not giving up on the possibility that it will get worn actively at some point. So the next question was, what is a fragrance that would be fantastic for a beginner, somebody looking to get into fragrances but doesn't smell super basic and is a little bit interesting, smells a little bit different. So that was a challenge for me because I feel like a lot of really quirky fragrances are not beginner friendly, and the ones that are beginner friendly tend to be a little bit more straightforward. But I did come up with two answers to the question, and I came up with these two. This is Badia Oud Sublime and this is Genuine Noir for a couple of reasons. The first one is affordability. So I figured in my mind, if I have someone who's a beginner who's looking to branch out and try something new, I don't want to recommend something that's like a $300 bottle of perfume, because what if they fucking hate it? You know what I mean? I wanted to give 2 options that were beginner prices to sort of branch out into other territory. So here are the 2 options, and here's a reason why. For the most part, I will say Badia Oud Sublime is a very sweet fruit fragrance that tends to be pretty straightforward, and then out of nowhere we get this really like left field woody base that really complicates the fragrance. So if I know somebody is already a fruit fragrance lover, or if they tend to like fruit fragrances or sweet fragrances, there's a way to introduce them to like a little bit more woodiness without completely like shocking their system. Similarly, this is a vanilla fragrance. This is Al Haramain's Jeannot Noir. It's a dupe of Georges Sama Bianca. And in this one, we have a very creamy, lovely, sweet vanilla with some other nuances that are a little bit different. We have, to my nose, sort of pickle juice, maybe a little bit vegetal type of smell to the fragrance. There is a heavy powderiness to the fragrance, so a little bit out of left field as well. So I think those take a sort of traditional vanilla fragrance and goes all the way left with it. So if I knew somebody liked creamy or vanilla fragrances and wanted to try on something a little bit odd, I would send them in this direction to see what they thought about it. So those are the 2 recommendations in terms of beginner friendly fragrances that are a little bit different. But if you have some other options in your own mind, let me know what those are. So the next question was all about what is a fragrance in my collection that everybody hates that I love. And I went through a bunch of fragrances, primarily green scents, as well as cheaper fragrances, as well as really earthy ones, because people love to hate on an earthy fragrance. But there are very few fragrances in my collection that I've been like personally confronted about and had my like resume when it comes to fragrances challenged, like it has been with my love of Prada Candy. People stay trying to fight me about this shit. Stop trying to fight me. I love her, and it does not mean I have terrible taste in fragrances. I just love this one. People love talking about how basic this fragrance is. It's not really doing anything. It's so basic to them, it's annoying. And so whenever I'm talking about how much I love this fragrance, I have people side-eyeing me like, can I trust any recommendation you make when you like this fragrance? You can trust me. Yeah, but also this is fire, right? I love it. I'm going to stand it hard the whole line. I will continue to love it, regardless of what anybody thinks of me. So yeah, I almost went with some petrichor, earthy, rainy type smells, and then I remembered all of the defending I've had to do when it comes to Prada Candy, and really there was only one answer to this question. So the next question was, what is one fragrance in my collection that is overhyped? Is this one. There's literally no fragrance in my collection that is more overhyped than Yara. Yara from Lattafa. The amount of videos I watch where people say how incredible this fragrance is, I wonder what my nose is not smelling. I wonder what I am missing on this one, because like this is right up my alley. I am the audience for this. And I don't hate this fragrance. I put this fragrance to work. I make good use of it. It is fine. But is it as good as people say? No. So the next question was a very intriguing one because it made me side-eye a whole bunch of fragrances in my collection. And the question was, what perfume is on the chopping block? Here's the thing. I ain't no punk. I hold on to shit even when I hate them. Yeah, just like men. It happens. I try real hard to make things work for way longer than I should. It is my, Achilles heel. I will just say that. And it same goes for fragrances. And so there are fragrances in my collection that I don't really like that. And I still have them. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Nicole Miller, and I'm looking at you, Volupté. I'm looking at you, Charlie Gold, and a bunch of other fragrances that I don't wear like that. Shalimar, the original, the fuck. I don't wear like that, but I hold on to them. But the one that I think is most likely to leave my house, because I know people who would want it as well, so like there is a home for it to go to, is Kayali's Elixir 11. I've tried, y'all. I've tried. Look, I don't know if you can see the dent in that fragrance, but like there's a fair bit gone, like a quarter maybe. I have tried with this fragrance because even though I'm not exactly its audience, I am not like the optimal rose lover wearer. I wear a fair bit of rose. My next fragrance I'm going to talk about is a rose fragrance, right? I wear a lot of Chloe. There's a lot of rose and Chloe fragrances. I should get on board with it. I had to sit and sort of think about why I fucking hate this fragrance so much. I fucking hate it. Why I hate this fragrance so much, and as much as I try, I can't make myself like it. I think it's the powderiness plus the mature rose together. I think I can do a lot of powder on its own and get on board and grow to love it. I can do a lot of heavy, old school, mature 1980s rose and get on board and grow to love it. But I find the combination of the two of them here to be oppressive. Like, it feels claustrophobic to me. I spray it on, it's like my head can't go anywhere. It's just like I smell it everywhere and I feel like I'm choking on it. And I've just had to accept that I need to let the shit go. So I recently sent my sister a Chloe travel size fragrance, and she was like, yo, this is my favorite of everything you've sent me. And I was like, really? Mature rose is your thing? I would never have guessed. And so maybe she can enjoy this for me. So I'm gonna send this to my sister because I think she loves a really heavy duty, claustrophobic ass, oppressive ass fragrance because she loves to be choked out with her perfumes. So hopefully this will find a great home with her as she enjoys the shit. I need to let this one go because it's never going to work for me. Ever. The next fragrance is a rose I can absolutely get on board with, and it is Idol Nectar. So the question for this one was, what is the fragrance you most recently bought? And it's this one. It's this one, and I love her. You can see she's gotten a little bit of use already. I've gotten a couple of compliments at work already, y'all. Now, I stand a Lancome fragrance. People love to hate that Lancome is basic. You may call me basic bitch Jeanique, but I love a Lancome fragrance. And this one is no exception. So I recently posted on my community tab that there was a sale going where I essentially can get this fragrance for about $70. And I was like, thank you. I will take that. And this is a fragrance I ended up picking up from the sale of all the Lancome fragrances that were on sale. And I've had no regrets. Now, I love Idol for a light work fragrance. It is like a medium rose. It's not quite as mature as Kayali Elixir. It's somewhere in the middle, but it's a lot fresher and brighter, airier and open. This fragrance takes that one and adds a little bit of popcorn, a little bit of caramel, some vanilla, and just makes it a lot creamier, heavier, happier, sweeter, and even more up my alley than the original. I talked about how I was sort of mid about Idol Aura and that I would not be repurchasing it once the travel size finished, and this one is a fantastic replacement in my Idol lineup because this is fire and I love this purchase. It was completely a blind buy, going off of the notes and comments I'd gotten from people who know I love a Lancome fragrance, and they were right. This one is phenomenal, sweet, jammy, rich. I love her. No regrets at all. So this next question might require a video of its own because when I started making a list of my wish list fragrances, the list just kept going and going and going. And picking just one is fucking impossible, basically. But I will say, in the number one spot, I think on my wish list is maybe Initio's Psychedelic Love, which is a very just really intoxicating, bold, dynamic fragrance that mixes together a lot of aromatic elements with some florals and a little bit of sweetness to it. It is a unisex fragrance that the moment I tried it, I fell in love hard, and I could not believe how just unexpected it was. It was very different than anything that I had tried before, and I fell in love with that fragrance in a very big way when I first tested it. I will link the testing video that I did where I go into a lot of detail about why I love this fragrance so much. But there are so many fragrances, gourmand, florals, in sort of the niche category. There are designer fragrances that are very high on the wish list for me. At the top of my designer fragrance wish list, I would say it's probably Mon Paris Intensement. I very much love the intense version. I have the original of that fragrance, but the intense version has just sort of captivated my soul, and I have not picked it up, and I very much want to. Also Flower Bomb and Nectar. I want that one too. And as far as Arabian fragrances go, there's so many that I want in this space. There's Rifkat, which is a dupe of YSL's Baby Cat. There is also Ansam Gold from Latafa, which is supposed to be a dupe, I think, of PDM, Parfum de Marley's like Oriana. That's the word on the curb. It's supposed to be a fire. There's also Rosace's Ebhar that everybody has been talking about that I maybe need to get my hands on. So basically what I am saying, this probably needs to be its own video because there are like 15 fragrances very high on my wish list right now that I have been side-eyeing, that I haven't picked up, that I very, very, very much want. So the last question was, what is one fragrance in my collection that I'll never get rid of, I'll always have? And initially, because of the size of my collection, it's disgusting, I thought this would be a hard question. I'd be looking around at some of my faves and trying to think through it. And ultimately, it didn't end up being a hard question at all. It is very easily Roberto Cavalli EDP. Here's the thing. I have loved this fragrance in one way or another for a good 10 plus years. This is a fragrance, more than that, maybe 20 plus years, Jesus. It is a fragrance that I always find a space for, always find use for, always think is beautiful. I don't love it more or less now than I ever have. The fragrances that I have that I feel real strongly about right now, but will I feel the same in 5 years? I don't fucking know. My taste might have changed, and my taste has changed over time when it comes to fragrances. There was a whole like 10-year period that all I wore was basically citrus and chypre. Did I care about florals like that or vanillas like that? Not really, right? But I was still loving this one, right? So I think this has proven to me that this is a long-term love, and I will continue to enjoy the different aspects of this fragrance for as long as I love fragrances, which is probably for forever. So an unexpected choice in many ways for me, but I think the fragrance that is the least likely to ever get decluttered is Roberto Cavalli EDP, a big love of mine, and one I'm scared I'll never find on the market because I don't think they're making this anymore. So having gone through all of those fragrances and answered all of these questions that are meant to sort of signal my perfume personality, what have I learned? I've learned I love a good patchouli fragrance. I love a good vanilla. I am a little bit salty about fragrances that are texturally too light, in my opinion. I enjoy woodiness and aromatic qualities in a fragrance, but most importantly, I love a big, bold, bombastic fragrance that slaps you in the fucking face. I'll go for subtlety because I think that's the one thing that's missing here is subtlety. None of these fragrances that I've talked about, maybe with the exception of the Prada Candy, even though it's very, very sweet, all of these fragrances tend to be very loud in what they give. So I think in summary, my perfume personality is loud as fuck. Hello and welcome. And that is not exactly surprising, but it's kind of surprising. Thanks so much for watching this video and going through this little journey with me and helping me learn some things about myself that I didn't know before. I appreciate you being here. I hope you come back for the next one. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Don't be mean with the subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.
Baby, you're the one and only. Baby, you've been on my mind. You know you don't have to be lonely. You can come and take my time.